Hey guys, Adam Trigger here. It's time for On the Clock Saturday morning. We're back from the Christmas lull of no games. Not a huge slate today, just 30 games, but this is the last Saturday from now until March where we don't have a million games. So we've made it. Conference play is about to get underway, and we're going to try to do this every day. So I'm going to try to do my best to get on the clock up in the morning every single day, and we'll just rapid fire games. I'm still looking for a better buzzer, but for now, we've still got this buzzer. 90 seconds on the clock, roughly, for each game. And we'll start knocking them out with the clear feature game today. No question about it. It's Gonzaga and UCLA from the Intuit Dome. And we'll get 90 seconds on the clock. So right off the bat, this is a neutral court. I know some people might add points to UCLA for a sort of a geographical home court. I do not. If you're not on your home court in most scenarios, like unless it's UConn at MSG, Syracuse down in New York City, like most scenarios, I'm not giving you home court if you're not on your home court. And so I'm not going to give UCLA home court for playing around, across town in a building that, is brand new. So this is a neutral court, and because of that, I actually have this line light regardless. I make Gonzaga -6.5 on a neutral court here. So with no bump for home court for UCLA, I think this number is a little bit light at 4. It has me leaning toward the Gonzaga side. Now, UCLA has been impressive. Their defense is awesome, but Gonzaga plays really fast, sometimes too fast. I felt like the reason they lost to UConn a couple weeks ago was because they were playing way too fast. But they're going to come out and play fast against UCLA, and it's going to be tough for UCLA, in my opinion, to set their defense. So my number, even with maybe being like 1 or 2 points off, I'm not dying to come out and lay points in this game with Gonzaga because I do respect this UCLA team. But what I will do is use Gonzaga money line for our parlay of the day, which we need to hit one here. We hit the first 2 and haven't hit one since. So 90 seconds on the clock. Parlay of the day, I'm going to go Gonzaga money line, and I'm going to parlay it with Hampton money line, the Hampton Pirates today in one of their rivalry games, playing Howard. I think they call it the battle for the real HU, Hampton University, Howard University, and I'm going to go ahead and pair Gonzaga on the money line with Hampton on the money line. That comes out to about +135. Pretty simple reason I like Hampton. I just think Ivan Thomas has come in and given some organization and professionalism to a program that was sort of a circus the last couple of years. Thomas comes over from Georgetown, but more notably from the Ed Cooley tree. He was with Cooley at Providence all those years. He spent last year at Georgetown with Cooley when he moved to Georgetown. He's a DMV. He's a DC guy. And I think he's sort of hit on some of his transfer portal guys. Noah Farrakhan, Xavier Long have come in. And the important thing for Hampton is they've all sort of found their role. And no one's hurt. Bring Kyrie's Mullen back from last year. They don't turn the ball over. They defend. They hit their foul shots. So totally different from last year's Hampton team. They're doing the little things right. And they've got 7 or 8 guys where if one is off on a given night, it's really not hurting them. I really like what Hampton is doing, and I'm willing to just ask them to win as I think a 4.5 point favorite, just asking them to win here. So parlay of the day +135 will be Gonzaga to Hampton. All right, let's move on to total of the day. This section's actually been really solid so far, and I'm not really a totals guy, but we've won on these to this point. Hit another one the other day as part of the Diamond Head Classic. Forget exactly which game it was, but I know the one on Monday that we talked about won. And we're going to head to Elon for Marshall and Elon. This is tonight. Important thing you need to know about this game, TK Simpkins Elon, in my opinion, their best scorer and best playmaker, left the East Tennessee State game injured early, never returned, was on crutches after the game, didn't play against UNC Greensboro. I don't know a timetable for his return, but I've got to imagine he's probably still out here. I think that affects Elon more offensively than defensively. And I'll explain why. The Elon defense has been outstanding. They have a 7'4" center in Matthew Van Komen. That's really allowed Elon to stretch their zone. So they kind of play this matchup type zone where they can really push it outside the 3-point arc now because they've got a 7'4" guy that pretty much takes care of patrolling the paint and defending the rim. Elon has become an elite rebounding team because of Van Komen. And so they're not giving up second chance points either. And that's going to be really tough on Marshall for a couple of reasons. One, Marshall wants to play fast, and it's really difficult to do against Elon. They get back on defense, and they drop into that zone. And then also, Elon plays very slow, themselves offensively. So it's going to make it tough for Marshall to sort of run up and down the court. The other thing is Marshall fires up some ill-advised three-point shots. They're 29.1% from three-point range. That's 337th nationally. That's just not very good and is not going to help you against Elon. Buzzer went off, but I want to get out one more thing on this one. TJ Simpkins, TK's twin, will just slide into the starting lineup. I think he's the better defender of the two. So this one, Elon loses something offensively when TK Simpkins out. The defense is still lights out. And this profiles as a very difficult matchup for what Marshall wants to do offensively. This was 145.5 when I talked about it yesterday. Not sure what it is right now, but I like the under there regardless for total of the day. And that'll bring us to boots on ground. I've actually been to Elon. I've got my Elon sweatshirt on. But the boots on ground play today is going to be where I don't think there's going to be many boots on the ground, at least not as many as there normally would be. And that's right here in Syracuse, New York, a building I've been to a million times, the JMA Wireless Dome, for Bucknell, Syracuse. And I don't think anyone's going to be at this game. There was no one there was one of the smallest crowds we've ever had for the Syracuse-Georgetown game a couple Saturdays ago. And that was on a Saturday with no football. And we couldn't get 20,000 at the Dome for Syracuse-Georgetown. That's very, very concerning. The locals are out on this team right now. I don't think anyone here thinks Red Autry's the guy, and it's really become a complete mess. JJ Starling, broken hand, he's still out. He was kind of the one guy that could really make plays and bail this team out. But without him, it's just very apparent that this is a poorly coached basketball team, and they've struggled as a big favorite against these regional mid-majors like Bucknell. The only one that they covered against this year was Albany, and that was just because they could get to the rim at will. Albany can't really defend the rim. Bucknell has a 7-footer, Noah Williamson. That's a great rim defender, and Bucknell's a pretty good defensive team. So that's not going to be a problem for Bucknell here. Bucknell turns teams into three-point shooting teams. Syracuse cannot shoot the three. 28.9% this year. That's 341st nationally. And Williamson down there, he might not be able to bang body on body with Eddie Lampkin, but he certainly can make Lampkin shoot over him. And that's a real concern. If Syracuse comes out and they're just firing threes here, I don't see how there's any way they cover 13.5. Bucknell has 6 straight losses. But it's worth noting that Bucknell played Maryland better than Syracuse played Maryland. And Bucknell has covered against the 3 power conference teams they've played this year. Gonzaga, Kentucky, Maryland, 3-0 against the spread for Bucknell. I think Bucknell is going to cover another one, and that's a client play for me. So I played Bucknell plus 13. I think you can get 13.5 right now, and I'll spend an extra 30 seconds on that one because that is one of my 4% best bets for the day. I think Bucknell actually has an outside chance to win that game and surprise Syracuse on their home floor today. And that brings us to the poll play as we wrap it up, the viewer's choice poll that I put up overnight. The leading vote getter was Ole Miss and Memphis. And so 90 seconds on the clock, and we'll bring it home with this one. I lean Memphis here. Not a huge opinion, but I think it's worth pointing out. Memphis has kind of become Gonzaga 2.0 in the way they schedule, especially this year. Now that teams now that teams like Houston, Central Florida, some of these other teams have left the American, Memphis has to completely front load their schedule. So they've already played Missouri, UNLV, Ohio, San Francisco, UConn, Michigan State, Auburn, Louisiana Tech, Clemson, Virginia, and Mississippi State. That's by design because once they get to American Conference play, there's just not as many big games on there. And so if they want to be taken seriously as a national sort of powerhouse contender team, that's what they have to do. And for the most part, I think they've done it well against their schedule this year. And also by mid-December, I think they're ready to play a game like this where Ole Miss, I believe this is their first true road game. They haven't played as tough of a schedule, and they have plenty of big games coming up in SEC play, which starts next week. So I think this is a bigger spot for Memphis. This is a very big rivalry game, regionally speaking. But again, Ole Miss, I'm not buying this team as an 11-1 top 25 team. I don't think they've been really fully challenged yet. And as you can say what you want about Penny Hardaway and Chris Beard being a better coach, I think Memphis might have slightly better talent. And I think that might play here. So this is not something I'm going to play today. But this was the pick, the game that you guys wanted. I lean toward Memphis. I just think they have better talent. I like the fact that they're home here. I like the fact that they've played a much tougher schedule to this point. And I think it pays off with what will be the signature win, in my opinion, for them as they go into conference play and they just don't have as many big games come conference play. Like and subscribe so we can keep doing this show on a daily basis. Follow me on Twitter at AdamTriggerWT. I'm going to be on Last Call this morning. So if you want to rapid fire questions at me, tune into WagerTalk Last Call. I'll be answering them for like 10 straight minutes this morning. And coupon code TRIG349, TRIG349, get you all of my college basketball picks the rest of the season, all the way through March Madness. Been a good run over the last couple weeks. Hopefully we continue to kill it in conference play. Hope to have you along with me. Everyone have a great Saturday. Cash all your tickets. We'll see you back here tomorrow.